So in today's video, we are going to walk through collection mapping. We have done simple mapping with the help of XML approach and also with the annotation approach. Today we are going to walk through collection mapping. So for doing collection mapping, we have gone through the problem statement. Suppose we have some array variables. Suppose customer have multiple vehicles so inside the array we are going to store the vehicles that customer have. So multiple vehicles one customer can have, but how we are going to mention that inside the column that we are going to create right here. Suppose we created column called vehicle and 7 or maybe 8 number customer have multiple vehicles, but the array is going to have multiple values. So how that is going to be get inserted right here? Or maybe not array, maybe it is of type collections like list, set, map. How those things are going to be done? So for that, let's see collection mapping. You understand I think you got the idea of what is the problem statement right here we have. Let's copy and paste the codes from the previous one, code with code 3. Collection mapping. Collection mapping. In collection mapping, let's close everything first. We have customer, and this time let's not go with customer. Let's say we have a student. We are creating a student table. It is saying, okay, we have to change the name, rename the file name from customer to student.java, and constructor will also become the student. Instead of SID, let's say a student ID. CID is CID to SID. Not customer ID, it's now student ID. Name C, or you can say S name, student phone, or email of the student. If we are not going to provide this column, then Hibernate is going to create the column with this email. But if we are going to provide this, then Hibernate is going to create the corresponding column with this particular name. What else student can have? Suppose these are the columns that a student have. So SID is going to be a primary key. Now it's time to implement collection mapping. Suppose student have multiple friends. So how that is going to happen? String it is going to be of type array, because array is going to hold multiple values of friends for the student. What else a student can have? Private string, suppose course, not string, list, maybe list of collection type, java.util list. One student can be enrolled in multiple courses, so multiple courses are going to be inside list, and that is going to be of a student. Private, maybe set, maybe one student can have multiple skills, so also set private map marks by map because MAP map because one student can have marks in different subjects. So all those subjects and marks inside are going to be inside the map. One student can have multiple skills. All those skills are going to be saved inside this set. One student can be enrolled inside the multiple courses. All those are going to be inside list. Multiple friend can be there for a student. So it's the of type array. So how to configure all this as an annotation? For that, let's go through some diagram. Here is the diagram. Suppose there is a friend of a student. One student can have multiple friends, so it is of type string. One student can be enrolled inside the multiple courses, so it is of type list. One student can have multiple skills, so it is of type set. And one student can have multiple marks, multiple subjects and marks, so it is of type map. So what we are going to do inside the collection mapping is that for type collections, that is of array, list, set, map, we are going to create different tables. Like here in previous example, we are just creating a simple table. Student SID, name and roll. SID, name and roll. But in here, collection mapping, we have array and some collection elements like list, set and map. So for array and list, set and map, we are going to create different tables for each one of them. Like for friends array, which is of type array, we will create one separate table. So here is the table, and we are going to bind this table with the foreign key, with the SID of the student. So suppose SID is 1. Suppose SID is 1. Here SID is 1. And inside that table, when we are going to bind this SID of a student, which is primary key, to the primary key of the parent table, then this SID 1, this student 1, which have SID 1, going to have here as an primary key, as an foreign key. And also we can mention this here. So student 1, or suppose student 2 right here. So student 1 can have multiple students, suppose Raj and Ankit right here. So Raj and Ankit have the SID, my SID 11, and this my SID is binded with the foreign key with SID. So SID is binded with the foreign key of my SID of table friends. For friends array, we created a different table, and for student SID, student 1, my SID and SID is bounded as foreign key. So for SID 1, student 1, we have suppose Raj, and also for SID 1, for the same student, we have another student, another friend called Ankit, was Ankit. So for this student 1, this student 1, we have 2 friends right here. Because why? Because it is bounded, the my SID and my SID and SID is being bounded with the help of foreign key. So for the friends, we created a different table, and SID of the student table and friend table, we bounded SID and my SID as a foreign key. So for when there is a student called maybe 1, have multiple friends right here, and suppose 2, for 2, we have different students, suppose Anwar and maybe Sumit right here. 2, for this second student 2, we have different student right here. So this is what we are going to do inside collection mapping. Now suppose for course, one student can be enrolled in the multiple courses. So course is of type list. So we are going to create the course table, and inside that table we are going to provide one my SID, and we are going to bound this my SID with the SID of student table as a foreign key. So this my SID and SID is bounded in different table, in a student table and course table as a foreign key. So suppose for student 1, we have maths, English, Hindi. So student 1, so SID is bounded with my SID. So here student 1, here comes in my SID student 1's. This student is enrolled inside the maths, English, Hindi. So student 1, my SID, which is SID in student right here, 1, have multiple courses. Likewise in skills, because here skill is of type collection, we are going to create the separate table for skills, and we are going to bind columns like SID and my SID in the my skills with the foreign key. So for student 1 can have different skills, suppose sports, computers, likewise map. So I think you got the idea what is happening right here. When there is a relationship between the class and between the database, and in the class we have some collection data types like array, list, map, set, then we have to use the collection mapping. What we are doing inside the simple mapping, when we are making the relationship between the persistence class, student, and the database, where we only have the simple data type like string, primitive, and wrapper, then we are using simple mapping. So these are the simple mappings you can see here. These 3 are the simple mappings, but these 4, there are the collection elements: array, list, set, map. So when we are making the relationship between the collection, between the persistence class and the database, where inside the persistence class we have data type of collection, then we are going to use the collection mapping. And what we are going to do in collection mapping, suppose one student have multiple friends, then we are going to create this separate table for the friend. and we are going to bind the student table and the friend table with the foreign key right here. Foreign key, my SID and SID. So for student 1, there is a student 1 as SID and my SID. There is a friend, suppose Raj and Rohit. So for student 1, here is the student 1, his friend is Raj, and for student 1, here student 1, there is his friend named Rohit. For student 2, suppose there is a student 2, his friend is Sumit, and also for the student 2, for the same student, he also have another friend, maybe called Ranjan. So this is what we do in the collection mapping. We are going to create different table for the collection type of data types, and we are going to bind that table with the student table with the help of foreign key. So this is the basic theory what we used to do in the collection mapping.